Now we return to our series, Inside Yemen. In our first two installments, we drew the outlines of this conflict and how the war has forced this already impoverished nation into collapse, with millions of civilians in dire need of humanitarian assistance. Tonight, we meet and hear from the youngest and smallest victims who bear the weight and scars of war, all the while trying to remain who they are, children. Again, in partnership with the Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting, special correspondent Marcia Biggs reports.
This is the scene all over the southern port city of Aden. Scars that have not healed from a war that will not end. Even amid the relative peace of Aden today, neighborhoods sit frozen in wartime. We had my room just over there, 18-year-old Mawad tells me. His neighborhood was ground zero in a battle between Yemen's government and Houthi rebels back in 2015. His home is still a pile of rubble. But luckily, he and his family were not home when the missile hit. But Imad was not so lucky. He was just 5 years old when his home was hit. He lost both his legs, but not his spirit. Now 8 years old, he's one of many children being fitted with prosthetic limbs here at the Prosthesis and Physical Therapy Center in Aden, but he prefers to bound around on his hands. I'm strong, he tells me, and first in my class. Then he sings to me, his version of a Saudi pop song playing on the radio.
When I saw them playing and smiling, the missing limb, but still smiling. Really, they're giving me support. I'm learning from them.
Samah Mohammed is his prosthetics and orthotics technician. She and her team build prosthetics here in-house, but without access to new technology, their materials are rudimentary, old and heavy. So Samah says some of the prosthetics are barely functional, primarily cosmetic.
These are Imad's prosthetics.
Yes.
They're very heavy. They weigh about 10 pounds, which is a lot for an 8-year-old kid to have to carry around, and much less learn how to walk with. I understand why he doesn't want to wear them.
Yeah.
Are the new prosthetics, are they lighter than this?
Yes. Yalla.
And for a child like Imad, whose amputation left so little of his thigh, the prosthetic has to be locked at the knee, which means he can't bend it at will. Walking is cumbersome and painful. He's had this pair of prosthetics for 2 years, and he doesn't even take them home. He's exhausted after only a few moments. These aren't my legs, he says. They're too heavy. For his mother, it's almost too much to bear.
No mother in the world wants to see her son in this condition. No mother hopes this for her son. But this is my fate, and I say thanks to God.
In neighborhood after neighborhood, we saw the most vulnerable victims of Yemen's civil war. 2 million children in Yemen are suffering from severe acute malnutrition, which means they're on the brink of starvation. And for those not fighting for their lives, the bleakness of everyday life in Yemen becomes their biggest obstacle. Out of the 7 million school-aged children in Yemen, 4 million are in need of some assistance.
Of that 4 million, 2 million are completely out of school.
That's almost a quarter of school-aged children here in Yemen.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Jamie Graves is the field manager for Southern Yemen's branch of Save the Children, which supports temporary schools.
56 schools have been destroyed in the country, and another several hundred have been damaged. Teachers are not getting paid by the government because the government is using its resources for its war effort, and there's a low tax base to begin with. So you really have very little infrastructure, services, or human capital, as in teachers delivering education.
This is the rubble of an elementary school. It was bombed in 2015. It's been 3 years and no one's rebuilt it. Now the kids go to school in these tents. The principal says they're choking from the sand and the heat's unbearable, but he says enrollment never changed. Against all odds, they still show up. What do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a doctor, this 4th grader in a girl's classroom tells me. No, I want to be a teacher, another one chimes in.
I love you.
Little Hafitha wanted to practice her English. She'd learned how to say I love you from television and asked me my name.
Marcia.
I love you, Marcia.
I love you, Hafitha.
I love you, Marcia.
When I asked the girls about their classes, they said this isn't a real school. Sometimes the wind knocks over the tent. And as we left, they had but one message for us. "We want the school, we want the school," they chanted. One little girl said, "Maybe when you visit us next year, we'll have a real school again." But for the 2 million who aren't in school at all, options are even more limited. Many are forced into early marriage, often for economic reasons. Gama is 14 years old. She quit school last year after her father died and her mother couldn't support her. And 2 months ago, she married 16-year-old Abdul Rahman. At first, she would barely speak. Then we asked the men to leave the room so that we could talk a little bit more intimately.
I loved everything about school, writing, reading, seeing my friends. But many days I would go to school without food and I'd see everyone eating. Teachers asked for money that I didn't have, so I had to drop out.
Did you feel like if you got married, you could help your family?
Yes, I thought that. I thought that if I left, maybe it will help. But then I discovered that my husband doesn't have a job.
A cruel irony. Gama says that while her new husband is kind to her, his family is just as poor as hers.
Do you wish maybe you hadn't gotten married?
Yes, sometimes when I feel down, I think of that. It's even worse for them now. My mother goes to work begging. My siblings stay hungry until she comes home at night. One day she brings food, the other day she doesn't.
Do you wish you could be back in school?
Yes, but he won't let me. I know my husband.
But here on the other side of town, it's a very different reality. These 5 childhood friends all graduated from university with engineering degrees. Now they want to bring their country back from the brink, one hand at a time. Along with 2 other friends, Mohammed, Malik, Mohammed, and Shraf, formed Enabling Aden. They make prosthetic hands using a 3D printer.
So this is it?
Mohammed ordered the printer from China and waited a month for it to arrive. They've gone through 6 different prototypes, running the printer day and night at his family's home. It's an arduous process in a country with failing infrastructure.
Sometimes the electricity goes off while printing, but thankfully the house, we switch off everything except the printer, so let it finish.
So the whole family is definitely sacrificing.
Sacrificing and suffering with me. Even they are scared when, the electricity is off, so let's see if the printer is running or not. It's a scary moment.
So far, they've only mastered hands, but they say they have big plans, and they owe it all to an American entrepreneur called John Scholl. He co-founded Enabling the Future, which shares prosthetic designs openly for those in need.
It's not actually us who give the hands for the amputees in Yemen. Who gives the hands is the guys who made this an open source. If it was not an open source, it would never reach Aden, and maybe any other country, a third world country.
At this stage, only 6 people have received their new prosthetic hands, and Ali is one of them. He's just 15 years old, but he lost his hand last year fighting on the front line, like so many boys his age on both sides of the conflict. He says he chose to do this to avenge Houthi invaders.
2 of my friends died, and the other had his leg broken. They died when the missile fell near them.
So you lost your hands and you lost your friends?
Yes.
I still feel sad about them till today.
Does this help a little bit, beside that, Shoy?
Yes. Yes.
Ali says he wants someday to be a doctor or a pilot and dreams of travel. And the young men who gave him his new hand say it's their calling to give back to those who suffered during the war and to show the world what Yemenis can do.
We hope that everyone sees that whenever technology is new, something can happen here in Yemen. You can bring it. It's not that we are lower than the whole world. No, we can do anything.
But back at the prosthesis center, Imad heads home with his mom and sister, leaving his heavy prosthetics behind. And until those young engineers can produce better ones, his life is confined to a wheelchair, waiting and hoping for a better life. For the PBS NewsHour, I'm Marcia Biggs in Aden, Yemen.
Amazing story. Young Imad, whom you saw in that story, and other children like him, were helped in a clinic supported by UNICEF. But the UN Children's Agency has temporarily suspended that program while it searches for better prosthetics to help the children. And on PBS NewsHour Weekend, Marcia Biggs reporting from Yemen continues. Tomorrow, food being used as a weapon of war.